So there was an interesting story on time.com that says you can buy more things than ever with crypto. Here's why you shouldn't. So I wanted to kind of rip into this article. I'm so sad Will isn't here because I was hoping to like battle it out with him. But basically, you know, some of the premises of this article I agree with. This idea that, you know, don't pay with Bitcoin. It doesn't make much sense for me given the transaction fees to pay with Bitcoin. But the idea, you know, the main crux of this article was that they're citing volatility as the reason for not using crypto. But then they're talking about places like, you know, Venezuela, where it makes sense to like get rid of your bolivars as quickly as possible, you know, where a currency is very, very volatile. So really what they're saying is it's not volatility that they're talking about. They're saying there's potential upside for crypto. And so you don't want to spend it, right? You don't want to get rid of something that may be worth a lot more tomorrow. They don't care about it going down the other way when you've just made a bunch of money by spending it. So I wanted to kind of dig into this idea of crypto going up and what that should mean for our purchases. I'll throw it to the group to start off with, and then I'll give my thoughts. But Ben, what are your thoughts on all this?
Yeah, this was a weird one, like the volatility being the thing that, you know, means that you shouldn't ever spend crypto. Obviously, Bitcoin's kind of the leader, and that was the dominating thing. They also mentioned like the volatility of Bitcoin Cash itself, which is kind of held out, you know, Naomi, you've done this too, like talking about it as a way to spend money. I think it really ignores sort of, you know, and I watched an interview with Jack Mallers of Strike actually on CNBC recently where, you know, the host was kind of asking and he brought up the freaking pizza argument again, where it's like, well, what if you try to buy a pizza? And this is a narrative I'm so over, but it was like, and then you send, you know, your Bitcoin and then it's decreased by 30% by the time it's used to pay for the pizza. And I think he's just ignoring the reality of things like Strike, which do this quickly and instantaneously, but also like Lightning Network developments that are being built on the Bitcoin network and to make these things happen quite quickly and in the forms of micropayments where like spending $10 is, you know, okay. So I don't know. I thought this was an article that had a lot of different angles and it was really a little bit unclear if you should spend it on anything, or are they just saying like hodl till you die?
Yeah.
But let's also acknowledge the real elephant in the room here, which is, you know, transaction fees are one thing, but the real reason you shouldn't spend your crypto, especially Bitcoin, is capital gains taxes are just completely unwieldy. And it's one of the things we can circle back around. One of the big things in the El Salvador story is that they've eliminated capital gains taxes on crypto expenditures. And I don't know what the implications for that are going to be internationally, but you know, it does put, I think, some pressure on other governments to make the same move, which could totally change the dynamics here. Jen, you wanted to jump in.
I was just going to say, you know, I think it makes sense for some people to spend their Bitcoin and it won't make sense for other people. I think it depends. It depends on where you're living, what the regulation is, what the tax implications are, when you purchased your Bitcoin. There are a lot of other things to take into consideration here. And then we have a whole plethora of other cryptocurrencies that are easier to spend. Naomi, when I was reading the story, I thought about you. We were in Miami together and you just told me that you spent crypto on almost everything because all the companies in your hometown accept crypto, which was just mind-boggling to me. And that tells me that you live in a community where people are okay to spend it. So it just felt like we were kind of throwing a blanket over everyone, just being like, you know what, don't spend Bitcoin because eventually it's going to go up and you're going to lose. And that is just a silly argument.
Yeah, I want to dig into that argument for a little bit. So if you really believe that crypto is only ever going to go up, why have any US dollars, you know? And you have to spend something, right? So why not put everything into crypto if that's what you believe, you know? Otherwise, if you're not so sure, then it doesn't make any sense to be riling against spending crypto because you don't know which way it's going to go either way. But if you are so sure, then go all in. I know so many people have gotten rid of their bank account. They've gone completely off the grid. They just live in crypto because they believe in it, because they think that, yes, it is going to go up. And so they actually decide to walk the walk instead of just talking the talk. And I will say, like, you don't need Lightning and second layer Bitcoin solutions to make things instantaneous and cheap. I mean, there's so many cryptocurrencies out there that have been doing that for years. Like in where I live, the most popular currencies, I would say, are Bitcoin Cash and Dash, but also like Monero, Zcash. They're two coins that I think are great to spend just from the privacy aspect. So yeah, I would say don't shy away from this. Don't be like worried about capital gains stuff. It's actually pretty easy to work that stuff out. It's not a showstopper. So it's really cool to spend crypto.